All right. Happy Sunday Live, Gordana. It's so good to see you. How are you?
I am doing good. How are you, Lucas? Are you good?
I'm 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 doing great. I'm doing great.
Oh,
I'm
that's nice. That's
really
nice. Yeah.
excited for this live. I know,
Mm.
like I had mentioned before we went live, that people are watching. I've
Mhm.
even had coworkers mention to me, "Hey, I'm watching this. I hope you feel okay with that." I'm like, "I feel great. I have nothing to
Yes. Yeah.
hide. This is
Yeah.
my heart
Yeah.
and passion, and so
Yeah.
very happy to be here with you today. Thank you."
Me too. Happy Sunday, everyone that are listening in and watching. I wanted to start off this Sunday Live with a story because something happened to me recently that really opened my eyes. And I would love to begin with that if it's okay with you.
Please. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. All right. Okay. So my husband prepared a session for me where Chat GPT interviewed me using its voice function. And it was about an app that we were creating with my work. So, I
Mm.
mean, you'd think that talking to a machine would be simple, right? But what happened to me was different.
Mm.
It surprised me how my whole system reacted. I
Mm.
started scanning the AI. I started scanning how it worked. Uh, I
Mm.
started scanning how it asked, what it might think of me. I started behaving like if it was a human being asking me these things.
Mm.
Now, going inside and looking at this, it was almost like as if I needed to make sure that it understood me and as if I needed its approval. And suddenly, while I was doing this, the observer in me, the illuminated part of me, stopped and it asked, Gordana, what are you doing? Why are you trying to please a machine? Now, the truth
Mm.
is, I was searching for confirmation from something that has no feelings, no ego,
Yeah.
nothing human at all.
Right.
And yet, I was wanting it not to misunderstand me, almost like a child
Mm.
afraid of being mislabeled or rejected. And that's when it struck me. Because if I can unconsciously look for validation from a machine, and I do consider myself to be an illuminated being, how much more often do we all do this with other people? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. When our emotions are running the show without us noticing it, they create filters. And the
Mm.
filters, they are old filters, often from our childhood. If they don't like you, you won't survive. If they misunderstand you, you'll be rejected. And
Mm.
that fear makes us scan everything and everyone. It makes us stressed, defensive, and sometimes we even forget the real purpose of the conversation. Bef- what it really was. The goal becomes to be accepted, not to be clear.
Mm.
Now, there is a shift here because when the observer in me is awake, I can see that I always have a choice. I don't have to scan. I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to carry the fear of being labeled or left behind.
Mm.
And that is where emotional clarity lives,
Mm.
in knowing that you are the one who chooses how to respond, not your
Mm.
fears. And that's what I want us to explore today. What happens when we let go of old filters and unconscious emotions stop running the show? I want us to look at what is emotional clarity and how we can learn to use it in order to see the choices that we have in life.
Mm.
So let's unpack this today.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Um, with feeling the clarity in the stillness and allowing, I think one of the big things that you and I have talked about
Mm,
for how many years have we been doing these Sunday lives
mhm.
is understanding what the observer is versus
Yes.
all the currents of thoughts and feelings and emotions that
Hmm.
come through us. How have you, or when did you first step into the knowledge of the observer?
I think I've always been aware of something within me that is looking at the reality out there. I've always felt this that there is a buffer zone between me, the one here, and the reality out there. There's a buffer
Mm.
zone between us. Now, if we would look at emotional clarity, I would describe it as circles within a circle.
Hmm.
So the first circle at the center would be the observer, the illuminated observer who is connected to my higher self
Hmm.
at the center. And it is also the stillness because nothing is happening there. I am just observing. Then there is the outer rim of the circle, which would be all that is.
Hmm.
And then there is a buffer zone between, like a circle in the middle of it all, where the movement is going on.
Hmm.
And it is in the movement that emotional clarity becomes crucial. Because if you are not aware of why you're feeling what you're feeling, you will create a world that is unconscious to you.
Hmm.
Why are emotions so important? Well, they are important because nothing in this world will manifest without an emotion pulling it like a gravitational field
Hmm.
into the physical world.
Yeah.
The first sign of a manifestation is the vibration in your physical body, and that is energy in motion, emotion, a feeling in your body. So
Yeah.
you can have thoughts, and unless you put your awareness to them, meaning giving them some meaning or feeling something about them, they will just pass like clouds on a sky.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start giving it meaning, form, emotion, it is brought into the physical world. And the first sign of a manifestation is the feeling that you create in your body. So
Hmm.
becoming aware of what feelings you harbor and what feelings you are exploring in this reality gives you advantage. It makes you a conscious creator of your own reality because you understand why you are feeling what you're feeling.
Yes.
Without a feeling, no manifestation. With a feeling, absolute manifestation. If you're not aware of what you're feeling and why you're feeling it, your manifestation becomes unconscious.
Hmm.
Simple. So the circle within a circle, and whatever it is that you are observing as the observer and pouring emotions to it will become your reality.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And you can
Mm.
have the same circumstance create one set of feelings and emotions. But if
Mhm.
you do the inner work and you go back to that same circumstance, you could have a different set of emotions and feelings, which would lead to different outcomes, which would
Mhm.
lead to different circumstances and manifestation. So it's
Yes.
not the scenario, it's the inner observer and figuring out
Yes.
what's happening on the inside and then why, like you're saying, it
Mhm.
is birthing or it's coming to
Mhm.
fruition. It's all tied. It all comes back to why we don't feel safe. And
Yes.
typically we don't feel safe because
Mhm.
of childhood
Mhm.
experiences, be it trauma, abandonment, fear, worry. And for whatever reason, society is not geared to mirror back a teaching and reflection back to humanity of how to heal that fear and how to free
Mhm.
oneself of that fear. It just masks over it with marketing of
Yes.
selling more materialism, more makeup and
Mhm.
clothes and cars and
Mhm.
alcohol and fun and adventures,
Mhm.
just saying ultimately, don't face the thing that is keeping you trapped.
Yes, and the most important part of this is that to pause and become aware of
Mm.
what you're doing. And why I shared the story before is if you are communicating with something that has no feelings, that is not human, and yet you are trying to please it, then there is a filter working within you. And
Mm.
it's mind boggling to me because I know that I've been working a lot with myself. I've
Mm.
found a lot of filters there. And
Yeah.
yet, if I am not present, even knowing who I am, if I am not present while I am interacting with the outer world, I will allow default mode to
Yeah.
become my filter.
Yeah.
And the default mode was, I want to be understood. I don't want to be mislabeled, because that's where the biggest trauma happened in my life. I was mislabeled very often. I was misunderstood very often, and then punished because of that misunderstanding. So I had no control over this. Now, speaking to an AI, which has no feelings, which will do anything to me. The funny part was, if I write, it's okay. It is the voice.
Yes.
It is the voice and the tone of the voice that triggered me into wanting to please, wanting to be understood, wanting to ease the communication so that there will be no misunderstandings.
Right.
That was the most illuminating part for me. Now, I am happy that my observer is awake.
Yeah.
Because I've done all the work. So it's awake and it knows when I'm doing this. Otherwise, it would just slip under the radar, and I would not understand why I am so stressed out while I speak to an AI.
Right.
And it will do anything I ask it to do. Now, there's another filter going on. I'm thinking, okay, so I can tell this AI what it needs to do, and it will not oppose me. It will not give me any resistance. That is not something that I am used to in my reality. It's always collaboration. You have to meet each other halfway. This thing will do whatever I tell it to do. Very uncomfortable for me. Very uncomfortable for me. So there are layers upon layers of filters that I need to go through and actually ask myself, what is the goal with this conversation? I'm talking to an AI. The goal is, I want this, this, and that to happen, to be in control of myself, to be the sovereign, to be the one with the agency, be the one that sets the tone.
Yes.
How often are we taught to do that? Never, almost never. As children, we are never taught to do that, to understand that we are in control of our own creation.
That's right.
And emotional clarity helps you do that when you start asking yourself, why am I feeling? I started asking myself, why am I stressed out by this voice here? It's a woman's voice, and it doesn't mean anything to me. Why is it stressing me out? That's the first step, to pause and ask, why am I feeling this? I can't outsource it. I can't say it's the AI, that's why I feel this, because it's totally neutral. So it brings it back where it belongs. It brings it back here. I have to ask myself, what in her voice makes me do this? Actually, nothing. It is something within me that makes me do this. What is that? Now, the good news is, when it's within me, I have control of it. If it's out there, I have no control of it. When I was a child, it was out there. I had no control. As a grown-up, it is within me. I have control of it. So what do I do with it? That's emotional clarity. You start looking at it. You see the choice. You start elaborating on it and figuring out, why am I acting this way? Without judgment, without any shame in it. I might shame myself and say, oh, but you're such an illuminated being. How can you do this? Haven't you learned yet? No, I haven't, because life brings you new opportunities to learn all the time. So it's a question of standing still without the stress of judgment and shame, and being present and asking, being radically honest, asking, what within me makes me do this?
Yeah. Which leads to either taking accountability and radical responsibility for everything that we are, experience, feel, and do, versus victim mindset of blaming everything outside of ourselves. And that's really the maturing process of, you said when you were a child, everything was outside, but the maturing process is understanding everything is inside, and outside is a reflection and mirror back to whatever thing we have yet to acknowledge or look at or address inside of us. And this is where I think I'm just stepping into this new phase of life. And we were talking about this before we went live. for the first time in my life, I don't feel like I am deeply suffering on an emotional level
Mm.
for something. And I've had extreme trauma, physical events, real things that are
Mhm.
outrageous, that most people, would say it sounds like a movie, or it sounds, so
Mm.
crazy.
Mm.
Um, and I didn't realize until I had a conversation this week at work that one gentleman who is a sweet, sweet soul, and we were able to talk honestly in my office and talk about all this other stuff outside of non-work related, but really human related issues. And he looked at me because I was talking about, he had unfortunately a daughter that took her own life recently. So we were talking about deep things, and I was talking about my own journey and attempt to do the same thing, and how you can't judge her, and you also can't judge yourself.
Yes.
That's going to be the journey for you, is to not judge that, and understand, and to love the process of it. And we're talking very deeply about these things. And I was talking to him. It was the first time I realized, wow, for the first time in my life, I am not deeply anguished with something I might be in the future, but in this moment, in these weeks that I've been experiencing this, I'm not. And he was looking at me, and I could tell I have this beautiful family. I look a certain way, I dress a certain way, I act a certain way. And he's like, felt like it was incongruent, or he couldn't figure out how I look this way and have all these things, but also experience all these things. And what I told him was, well, that's, but he understood. I said, well, most people don't know, because you have to put a mask on to survive.
Yes.
The brighter and shinier the mask usually is, the more survival instinct of the person that, and he said, you're exactly right. And he showed me a picture of his daughter, the last one they had together, and they're all smiling. And he said, that's a picture of someone who weeks later would take their own life. And why I share this is not the story about me. It's not a story about her. It's the story of humans going through this journey, and not judging feelings, and not judging the acts, but just purely looking inside ourselves and say, what is coming up? What belief do I have that I bring to a scenario that makes me feel some way, victim, scared, retreating, and moving forward? But ultimately, at the end of the day, when we can find the space of inner reflection and inner exploration in our minds, our thoughts, our feelings, and going back to the most painful parts of our life, or that thing that someone said to us that stuck with us as our truth, and it was never our truth to begin with. As we can do that, then I think what you're saying, talking about that pause, the pause then becomes more pronounced, and we don't react, and we don't run away or blame.
Absolutely. It's a question of understanding what is mine and what is yours.
Yeah.
And respecting that without judging you,
Right.
because I feel a certain way. I have to be responsible for my own feelings and my own actions, and I need to look at it from that perspective. As long as I am blaming or holding others responsible for my life, I will be in suffering, in deep suffering. I'm not saying that other people won't be mean or do bad things to you. So it's important to understand that when someone is doing something bad towards you, you have to react to that and either leave or, say something. So it's not about absorbing everything, becoming like SpongeBob, just absorbing everything. It's a question of understanding what is mine and what is yours, and then standing firmly in that, not wavering in it, saying, I understand you're in suffering, you're in pain, and this is why you do these things, but they're hurtful to me, and I will not take it anymore. So just separating, saying, this is yours, this is mine. Now you have to if you are entangled in the outer reality, the way I was with this AI thing, then it gets very tricky because you don't know. You would say, well, the AI spoke to me in a way that didn't please me, and you will outsource the source of your pain will be outside of you.
Right.
Now, there's no truth in that.
Right.
It is my interpretation of the voice, the tone, the cadence of the AI
Right.
that made me
Right.
feel the way I did. The AI has no feelings. Why I'm talking about the AI is because it's so obvious it is not a human. It cannot trigger any feelings because there is no intention of
Right.
that
Right.
in the AI.
Right.
So it brings it back to where it belongs. It brings it here. Of course, I am triggered. That is the truth.
Right.
But the source to my trigger, if I am outsourcing it to the AI, that is not the truth. So my feelings are true, but not where they originate. It's not the truth. I have to look at it. And
Right.
that's where this radical, honesty comes in, to say, okay, so why was I triggered by this? If I scold myself, if I find a negative reason to why I was triggered with this, then it's not the truth. As I said in our last podcast, if the
Right.
answer is not all is well, then it's not the truth. So I have to go deeper, dig deeper, and to see. I have to look at myself with compassion and say, well, it was the 6-year-old in me. It went into default. I started scanning it because that is how I survived as a child. And that's why I did it. Then again, if I look at it, there's some good stuff in this, because if I wouldn't be able to scan and, understand the feelings, then I wouldn't be able to work the way I work today.
Right.
With my clients, for instance, this is one of my biggest assets, when I can scan them and I know exactly where the frequency is. So it's a good thing. It's a bad thing if I'm doing it 24/7. It's a bad thing if I'm doing it unconsciously. I am conscious when I'm doing it with my clients, but obviously I wasn't conscious when I was doing it with the AI, and
Yeah.
that's filter.
Yeah.
Because I'm not using it consciously. I am allowing it to be the driver, so to speak. So emotional clarity means to understand why I'm feeling what I'm feeling and where that feeling comes from. And when I do that, then I can project something else into the future. Otherwise, I am just projecting things that I am unconscious of into the future, and that becomes my reality. And it becomes like a jungle because I'm not aware of what I am projecting.
Right.
And you start blaming and shaming and, being fearful and anxious because you don't know what's going to happen, because you have no control over it. Becoming more clear in why you're feeling what you're feeling gives you a position where you can create a reality that feels better.
Absolutely. Yes.
Doesn't mean that you won't suffer. There's always going to be some suffering, but you'll bounce back quicker from it because you can understand yourself.
That's
Like
right.
stand under your highest self when you understand yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
The more we practice it, this might be I don't know this example, how this resonates, but it resonates with me. In the movie The Avengers, I think I was telling you this last time, the movie The Avengers, where Thanos is looking for these infinity stones, and every time he puts it into his glove, he like powers up and takes more power. The more we practice and the more we do this work, and everyone watching this and listening, I promise the more you do this work and the more you practice the inner world, the stronger you will feel. And every one of those conversations that previously might have been fearful, but you practiced courage and you stepped in and you looked and why you're reacting a certain way. When you go through those, it will be like putting an infinity stone in the glove and you will power up. It's where does self-empowerment come from? I think it comes from application of doing the right thing. And so the more courage we can summon is based on our sense of self-empowerment, that we are going to be okay. No conversation, scenario, or situation is greater or more powerful than us.
Absolutely. It's a question of, clearing the waters so that you can see clearly whatever it is that you're
Mm,
doing here.
yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that there won't be suffering, there won't be fear, there won't be anxiety. All of these things are part of life.
Yeah.
So you can't expect that there will be clear and nothing of this will happen. That's not what life is about. But what life here is about is to understand yourself better so that you can direct yourself
Mm,
better, to put yourself in spaces where you recognize yourself.
mm,
Recognizing yourself is to actually know yourself,
yes.
to
Yeah.
become more conscious of what it is that you're exploring, if it's good or bad or whatever it is, but becoming conscious of it,
Mm,
saying, okay, this is not what I like. Let me see what I can do about this, instead of saying, I hate this. Why does this happen to me all the time? And then
right.
stay in it, become
Yes.
a victim of it.
Yes.
So, what we're talking about here, the emotional clarity that needs to be there, is actually about presence, but also being awake and not outsourcing it.
Mm,
Keeping it close where it belongs, keeping it here and looking at it, asking questions. Why do I feel the way I feel, without outsourcing it?
mm,
I can't stress that enough, because I've half of my life I outsourced it. Yeah, because of them being this, those doing that. It's not about that. It's
right.
about what I do with it. I had a follower that asked me a question some years ago, and it was about, she was bringing unconditional love to a relationship.
Mm,
Her partner didn't believe in unconditional love. He
mm,
was like, no, I don't believe that. I don't want that. And it didn't matter how she tried. He didn't want the offering. And so she asked me, what is this? How come there are people that actually don't want unconditional love? And I explained this. If you've been drinking murky water and someone brings you clear water, you won't recognize it. You'll say, what the hell is this? I don't want to drink this.
yeah.
Give me my murky water, because we're habitual beings.
Right.
And him projecting his lack of unconditional love as a child onto her brought her to start, or made her start doubting herself. She thought, there is no such thing. I can't give him the unconditional love because he doesn't understand what it is. He's suspecting me of lying or
Mm,
manipulating when there is no lie and manipulation. So
mm,
it's on him. It's his projection on her.
yeah.
He is not aware. Now he can create doubt and misunderstanding within her, where she starts to, not understand her own feelings, and she loses emotional
Mm,
clarity. This is where you need to stand firmly and say, okay, this is mine, this is his.
yeah.
It's his inability to receive unconditional love. It's not my inability to give it. And
Right.
that's where emotional clarity comes. To understand it is outside of me, not judging him, not being angry at him, just understanding it. That is emotional clarity. It's not
Mm,
always pleasant. Sometimes it's really like not pleasant to
yeah.
understand. But at the same time, if you know it, it's easier to handle it. If you can name it, it's easier to handle it.
Mm,
That's another thing that I want us to just touch upon before we end our Sunday live. Naming your emotion.
yes. Yes. I
It
heard it.
sounds so easy, right?
Well, I heard a term. I heard a phrase. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Is name it to tame it. The only
Yes,
way to tame the
exactly.
emotion is you name it.
You can, and naming it is not like saying I'm overwhelmed. That's
Right.
not to name it.
Right.
That's like an umbrella of a lot of other things. I'm sad, I'm fearful, I feel helpless.
Right.
Those are emotions. I feel overwhelmed. Does it won't lead you to emotional clarity. It will keep you in victimhood instead.
Yeah.
So naming it when you start doing that, you can own it. And when you own it, you can do something about it because you have control over it. And I don't like the word control, but that's the only word I can use here. And it feels like it's okay when we talk about inner control.
Yeah.
It's when you start thinking that you can control your emotions by controlling the outer circumstances, and you can't.
That's right.
So
and most people that don't have inner control seek control externally to soothe their inability to control inwardly.
Yes, they project it outwardly instead, and they try to control it, and it always backfires because it doesn't just create suffering within you, it creates suffering within the beings that are in your frequency when you try to control. Say that you're a parent, you have a child, and you try to control every aspect of the child's reality because you feel that you're out of control within yourself. So bringing it back and say, why do I feel I need to control the child?
Yeah. Well,
without outsourcing it.
You just reminded me of the story last night. And I even talked to Lauren about it this morning. Did I do the right thing? I think I did. But we had one of my daughters, I have 4 kids, and one of them came and woke me up at 12:22 last night. And she was on my wife's side of the bed, and I heard mom, and I popped up, and Lauren was sleeping. I was like, hey, what's going on? She's like, I'm afraid. I'm hearing whispers in my room. And I was like, oh, well, let's go up there. So I walked her up, walked her to her room. And I was explaining, this house is the safest place you will ever experience. There is nothing, no one in this house, nothing can get to you. There literally is, your room is your safest space. And she had an overhead ceiling fan going on, and I could see, because she had her room light on. So it was middle of the night, but she's up. And the fan was blowing. She has a calendar, these little baby kittens. It's really cute. But it was blowing one of the pages. And I said, that very well may be what you are hearing. And in your dreams, you think it might be whispers. And I said, literally, there's nothing to be afraid of in your room. This is your safest space. However, I was walking down the stairs last night, and I didn't want to go. I wanted to go back to sleep. So I wasn't trying to ignite my thoughts too much. But I wondered, did I do the right thing? Was that the right parenting move? I don't know. I thought it was. I was compassionate. I wasn't like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like I was talking it through. But also, why are we conditioned to not look at our fears? Maybe because we keep being told as children, there's nothing to be afraid of. And it's like a form. I don't want to gaslight her. I want to explore with her. I don't want that to be a tape of like, oh, I feel afraid. Oh, I'm not going to look at why I feel afraid. And I think so many adults, I guess what I'm saying is, we have been conditioned to not look at why we are afraid. And
exactly.
Feels fear at some degree, which invokes the emotion and feeling, and it leads to a trajectory of whatever we're manifesting in our life. Most people are in these loops because they're in victim mindset. They don't know that it's internal. But I'm wondering, as a real parenting example last night, and I don't know how I could have parented different. This is, but it's real. I want her to understand if she feels afraid, why, but also not project it externally on. There's no boogeyman in the room.
Yeah. What I feel is that you actually did the right thing, because you didn't say, don't feel afraid. You guided her through this. And you explained that it could be this. You didn't say, this is what it is, go back to sleep, now leave me alone.
Sure.
You guided her through this so that she could see that there is no fear. This is why she comes to you, because she needs guidance. She doesn't know how to explore the reality on her own. And she goes to the safest place, that is you. And so when you come, if you say, well, yes, or your wife, and that's, yes, exactly. But if you would said, yeah, but it could have been voices, I don't know, then I don't think that you're helping her. You're actually creating more fear in her life. I think that you gave her a clue on how to work with her fears, to find rational reasons. Now, sometimes there are no rational reasons and you're afraid of it, and
Yeah.
that is okay. But if you can go through that protocol and say, are there any rational reasons for my fear? That is something that she can use in her life. So I don't think that you did badly as a parent. It would have been bad if you would have said, go back to your room, I'm asleep. Because you don't know what kind of protocol she would create in her mind then. She would say, the grown-ups are not there to help me. I
Right.
am on my own here. I'll have to deal with this all on my own. And then to build a world upon that, being 6 years old or however, which the child, I didn't know which one it
Claire.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Claire,
Well,
yes, of course.
but maybe that's what we're doing to ourselves, because that was the narrative of the parents that
Yes,
is like, leave me alone, ignore it, I'm sleeping.
yes.
And then we have just not been taught to
Mhm,
process and work through why
mhm,
and what
mhm.
we're afraid of.
Yeah, I mean, how could you speak to a parent who scolds you that you're afraid that they will scold you? You can't say it to them. So you keep it to yourself, and you have to find ways
Yeah.
to work through this.
Yes.
How can you do that as a 6-year-old? You can't. What you
No.
do is you bury it. You don't want to look at it. That's how we bury our fears, and that's how they become demons that later raise our children.
Yes. Which leads to then a society and people and everyone listening not knowing how to identify what we're feeling and understand the pause and the clarity. And so
Mhm.
the cycle breaks when we are aware. And,
Yes.
I love what you say. I quote you often, is when you know better, you do better. And that is the truth. And we, I think part of our heart and why we do these Sunday lives, we're not making money. This
Mhm.
isn't, about views or anything. It's just like we love
We're just doing it.
yeah,
Yes.
we're just
Yeah.
doing it. And we love
Yeah.
people and we want to see people heal and consciousness arise.
Mhm.
It's the first step is everyone pausing and understanding themselves. No, inner knowledge is the key to outward
Yes.
victory. I like
Yes.
this outward
Absolutely.
victory. And I think I said this last Sunday live, or I've said it recently. I was on a podcast maybe, but the
Mhm.
night after I attempted my own life and it didn't die, it
Mhm.
took me on this deep, intense journey internally. And
Mhm.
I had this quote come to me, is that inward reflection leads to outward correction. And
Yes.
ever since that was
Mhm.
November of 2001, I have been on this journey of inward reflection.
Yes, me too. I can't even remember when I started it. I know that there were small markers in time where it became much more clear to me, but
Mm,
it's always been like that.
yeah,
I mean, what in me creates this here?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's where I'm all the time. There are a couple of things that has helped me to become emotionally more clear, to
Mm,
become clear of what it is, why am I feeling this, and what's going on here. So there are 5 points here, and let me just read it. The first thing is naming the feeling.
mm,
So instead of saying I am angry, sad, whatever it is, I say I am in a state of anger, fear, sadness. I am in a state of, which means that it's not sticky. I am in a state of it. There is an observer in a state of anger or fear or sadness.
yeah.
That's the first thing. And then the second thing is to ask, is this mine or is it inherited?
Yes.
Many of our reactions are echoes from our upbringing, like the thing that I explored with the AI. That was absolutely an echo from my past, coming up as a habitual filter.
Mm,
That's an opportunity to look at this. So, is this mine or is it inherited? And it was absolutely inherited. And I can say, well, I don't want it anymore because it's not mine.
mm,
I can let go of it. That's the choice. I can say, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I'll be more observant in the future to catch myself when I'm doing
yes.
this.
Yes. Yes.
Now, another thing is to speak my process out loudly with myself.
Mm,
So I say, I choose to witness this, not drown in it. I choose to witness this, not drown in it. Every time I feel overwhelmed, I feel an emotion that I do not like or want, I would say, I choose to witness this, not drown in it. And then I work through it. I say, I notice I'm getting tense. I think I'm afraid of being helpless, abandoned, misunderstood, whatever it is, like I used to when I was a child. Then just witnessing is powerful. You don't need to solve anything. You just need to witness it. And that's where compassion comes in. This is where I start mothering myself. I say, okay, but I'm not a child anymore. I don't have to feel this way.
Right.
I don't have to feel this way. So you can let it go. Saying sorry genuinely, if you're projecting it onto your child, saying genuinely, I'm sorry for doing this.
Yeah.
It heals more than you know, and it doesn't just heal your child, it actually heals your inner child too.
Yeah.
To say I'm sorry when you made a mistake.
Yeah.
You also teach your child how to act when they make a mistake. So it's like passing on to them a way to be more at ease with their own feelings, to allow certain feelings to come up so that they won't feel shame, or so that they won't, pull back and say, I can't feel anything. Letting fear become their guiding star.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, which is really important, it is to celebrating small breaks in the pattern. I mean, like, even pausing before reacting is a triumph.
Yes.
Pausing is a triumph. You should be celebrating this every time you catch yourself doing, like I did with the AI. I said, Gordana, why are you doing this? Why are you looking for confirmation from an AI? Go there, look at this. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
The pause is a cause for celebration. The pause is a cause for celebration. It rhymes.
I love it. I'm writing it in the chat.
Yes, the pause is a cause for celebration.
Yes,
it's a triumph.
I love it.
So just going through this gently and without blaming, shaming, and scolding yourself. That's how you get emotional clarity.
I love it. I love it.
So I hope that it made some more clarity in people's life this Sunday, just to listen in and hear that they're not alone when it comes to understanding themselves and looking for emotional clarity without knowing how to do that. They're not alone. We're all doing it.
Yes.
But if you have a protocol or a step-by-step action plan, which is to pause, look at this, and then redirect yourself.
That's right. That's right. It's beautiful.
It's easy, but you just have to pause and be radically honest, not outsource it.
Right.
Pausing, being in it, allowing yourself to feel whatever you feel, and not be afraid of the feelings.
That's right. And not be afraid of the outcome or where it leads you, because it is going to lead you in a new path. Not doing it will keep you in the same path, the same rhythm, the same loop, the same cycle, the same loop. Yep.
Yes. Yep. It will lead you to a new path where there is more clarity, where there is more consciousness, where there is better direction.
More power.
More power. More power. Stability.
Yeah. Yeah.
More creativity, because you don't need to waste your energy scanning an AI. Right. You can waste your energy on something else, becoming more creative, being present, being more joyful when you're present.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Not looking for fear, looking for beauty.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for this beautiful Sunday Live. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We're sending you love, and we will see you on the next live. Thanks, Gordana.
Yes. Thank you, Lucas. Bye, everyone.
Bye.